I knew I should have said goodbye to Gino. At least him and Josh Naylor are together once again. That's the wrong music. That's the wrong music. We should be playing the Lost music right now. Absolutely. Welcome in to an emergency podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montia, occasionally known as your mayor, PHNX. And yeah, see, me and Killer Rex, I hate to agree with Killer Rex more than I hate to agree with anybody. And he is right. He's saying, are you actually playing happy music? No, this is not a happy time. This is a sad time because we are here due to the fact that breaking news, according to ESPN's Jeff Passan, the Arizona Diamondbacks have finally, I guess, traded a Eugenio Suárez away. These were rumors that we knew were coming. These were things that have been hanging over our head now for a while. Not only have we had to watch the Diamondbacks struggle over the last 9 games and play as poorly as they've played, but we also knew deep down in our hearts that Suarez, Merrill Kelly, and Zach Gallen are all guys that were getting ready to be traded away from here. But glad to have so many of you guys here. Welcome in to this emergency edition of this podcast. I don't want to do this. I was you know what? You know how I like to take responsibility here for things that I might be responsible for, or at least want to blame myself for. I was texting Espo asking him when he felt it was safe for me to go to bed, and we had both agreed that 10:30 was the proper time. Joke's on me. Here we are, just a little bit after 9 o'clock. The Diamondbacks, or news breaks here that the Diamondbacks have in fact traded Eugenio Suárez. The return for Gino is still somewhat unknown. There are 3 players that are part of it. There are 2 pitching prospects that we still do not know who they are, but we do know, at least at this time, that the Diamondbacks, the Mariners, number 9 overall prospect in their system, first baseman Tyler Locklear, is coming back to the Arizona Diamondbacks as part of this trade. So as much as it hurts to lose Gino Suárez, the Diamondbacks once again were able to get a prospect that did make his major league debut this season, last season. So he has had some time in the major, just not a lot. He was highly coveted by the Mariners and a lot of their fans. So this is a guy that is a great addition to the Diamondback system, plus the 2 prospects to be named at a later time here. Hopefully we'll get some news on that before we get out of here tonight. But this sucks, and I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't, because the Arizona Diamondbacks once again have found a way to break our hearts here with news we knew that was coming. Eugenio Suárez here being traded, but it's also amazing. We got Damon Dog here with me here. Damon's in spirit. I don't know if he even wants to be on this podcast, but Damon, the Diamondbacks found a way to make history here with this trade a little bit. We get word from our friends over at Yahoo Sports that the Diamondbacks are the first team, or at least Eugenio Suárez is the first player ever to be traded in season that had 35 or more home runs. Not the kind of history you want to be making, and it's no surprise to me that this is a first, because why would you trade away a guy with 35 home runs or more, Damon? Why would you do that? What kind of idiot would do that?
I mean, I think it just goes to show that there's not a lot of teams that have guys that have that many home runs that are bad at baseball. And the Diamondbacks have not only that guy who is on their team and they stink at baseball, but they also have Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte. I mean, the list goes on and on of Josh Naylor, of course, as of a week ago. Like, they had a lot of really good hitters on this team, and somehow they're still bad. And that's the demoralizing part.
The thing about it is we've known this is coming. This was coming. I think all Diamondbacks fans kind of felt this was coming. We hoped it wouldn't, but it was hard to imagine it not coming after the way they've played over their last 9 games, going 1-8 over that stretch. However, you just have this. I don't know. Like we've been sitting here waiting for this to happen. There is at least this sense of relief that it's done, and that Gino will not be traded to a team, at least right now, that can hurt us. We aren't trading him away to a National League team. It is to an American League West team, and also a team that Gino seemed to want to go back to. Right. So this trade makes sense. It does reunite him with Josh Naylor. And I mean, the Diamondbacks, even though they have made more trades with the Marlins, or at least Mike Haza has made more trades with the Marlins than he has with the Mariners, definitely feels like there's a relationship here to get good deals done. And I don't know if you would consider this a good deal or not, especially considering that we don't know the full return of the deal. But as in regards to Tyler Locklear, who could be the Diamondbacks' first baseman of the future, he was in AAA Tacoma with the Rainiers this year. He slashed .316, 401, 542 with a 942 OPS, 19 home runs, and 82 RBI this season. It is the PCL, so once again, I don't want to get too excited about his offensive numbers considering what happens in that league. But again, this is another thing. Brian Lefevre, I think it was Lefevre. I think I got that right the first time. Says that Lefevre gets us the return here. Damon, if you wouldn't mind throwing that on screen. He says, per Daniel Kramer, the Diamondbacks receive first baseman Tyler Locklear, which is the number 9 prospect by MLB Pipeline. Right-handed pitcher Hunter Cranton, who is their number 16 prospect, and Juan Burgos, which is their number 17 prospect. So 2 right-handed pitchers in return, and 3 top 20 prospects from the Mariners system, 1 top 10 prospect. So overall, not a bad return for Gino. I think that a lot of people are probably expecting more, and understandably so. However, as things get here down to the final day, usually this is when we see those. This is when we see some of those kind of deals get made on players with expiring contracts. Tomorrow, we might see players that have actually years left on their contract get moved as well. Jacob Franklin in the chat says, look at the numbers on the pitchers before you judge. Burgos has pitched well everywhere he's gone, and Cranton throws 100 and is a college arm, could move quickly through the system. Overall, I mean, the Diamondbacks, again, they've kind of been depleted in several ways this season, and one of those ways that they were depleted was some of their minor league depth, right? So this is definitely helping, and this was the need. This was what they were going to try to go out there and get. What will be interesting now is to see what they continue to do. If they continue to stockpile young pitching prospects, which most likely is going to continue to be the return for guys like Zach Gallen or Merrill Kelly, or if they're able to somehow package those guys together, maybe get something bigger in return than potentially prospects. I don't know. I really, as far as their needs are concerned, this overall does fit their needs, right? Tristan English has been getting some playing time. He was 1 for 3 today. He had some good at bats, so his at bats look better, but still the jury is out on if English could be the first baseman of the future. So there's a great chance that Locklear could fit in here very nicely for the Diamondbacks, or at least add to their depth, considering or if they continue to go in a young route this way with these young guys. Over at third base, in replacement of Eugenio Suárez, does open the door for Jordan Lawler to come up and play third base for the Diamondbacks. He could still be the third baseman of the future. However, for the time being, I imagine it's going to be Blaze Alexander, who has played really good defense over there. I mean, overall, I've heard a lot of rave reviews about Blaze Alexander and his defense lately, especially over at third base. So again, it's going to be the position players. The Diamondbacks do have young players that are ready to fill those spots now that they've lost Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suárez. I do want to say, I mean, I know this is probably a little too cutesy, but I do like the idea that they both went to the same team. My daughter's about to start high school tomorrow, so I like that they have a friend. I like how on day one Josh Naylor can show Gino around, even though Gino very familiar with the Mariners organization, and again, very cool that he can go back at least to that team. I know that, as well as the story with the Tigers was kind of ideal landing spots for Geno. So the Diamondbacks are able to send Geno somewhere that he wanted to go. A team that is still, in the playoff hunt and trying to not only potentially win their division, but make a splash in the playoffs. And I've seen some of you saying it in the chat. I think it's safe to say we're all Mariners fans now. It's easy to root for that team with the amount of former Diamondbacks that are over there. But again, this is Sean's asking, when did they start school so early? You know what? She's not even one of the first ones. There's like my friends' kids have already been going back to school last week, so don't even get me started on that. But again, the return here is some prospects. I mean, again, the Diamondbacks were able to get I think 3 top 20 prospects is a pretty good haul in return for Geno. Perhaps maybe their asking price was too high and perhaps they've lowered it. We did hear that certain teams were out on Suarez. That's just kind of a funny thought to me overall. The thought of the I don't know, the Yankees now looking at what they gave them and being like, that's what they got, that we would have offered more, or whatever the case may be. But I don't know. Again, what we were starting to see was a lot of the teams that were in the hunt for Geno were starting to find players elsewhere. And again, it didn't take too much deduction to see that the Mariners were going to be one of the landing spots. Apparently, according to sources, Cincinnati Reds were also one of the finalists to get Geno. I know they've regretted letting Geno go now for a number of years, and they definitely wanted Geno back. It's funny that everywhere Suarez played wanted him back. And I think that's a true reflection of Geno as a player. His vibes, his attitude, everything about him. He is a guy that you want to be around. I not only did he have the success lately, right? That's great to see, but even without the success, Geno's always been a solid third baseman. He's always giving you a tremendous amount of games played. Looking back at his time, again, with the Mariners, there was the season before he joined the Diamondbacks, played 162 games that year. So a durable guy that's been able to get out there, even though he's gotten hit in the hand multiple times. Will be interesting to see if Geno continues to get hit in the hand now that he's with another team. But yeah, Candace says the vibes are going to be very interesting Friday. Interesting is an interesting word to use, Candace. I wouldn't use interesting. I would say the vibes are going to be very, very low. I can only imagine, this is a thing of concern, is that if the Diamondbacks already have been kind of mentally, they've been depressed by the moves that are made. I can only imagine the mental funk that they will be in now, losing one Eugenio Suárez, because he was a leader in the locker room and a motivator. He kept things light. He was just a fun guy. And like I said earlier, I definitely missed the opportunity to say goodbye to him. I wanted to, I won't lie. I wanted to say goodbye to Geno because, much like many of you, Suarez became one of my favorite players to watch on this team. And a lot of times, as I've explained in the past, that extends beyond just how good they are. Suarez was tremendously good this season. He was in the home run race all season long, and also, again, a great defender. Just smelled great. Everything about him was great. There was no negatives really about Geno. He went through his slumps. He had his rough periods of time, including this year, but dating back to his time with this team 365 days ago, Eugenio Suárez has been one of the best hitters in baseball, and that is what the Seattle Mariners are getting. Again, I know there's a lot of people that want to overreact to this and think that this is the Diamondbacks getting fleeced in some way, but I would assure you it's not. This is the Diamondbacks who have played, again, some of their worst baseball of the season, just having it confirmed for them that this team really doesn't seem to have a chance in 2025, that they don't need to go out there and try to add to this team at the trade deadline. And that's totally loser talk. I get it. But sometimes a GM's job is to make that tough decision. And I mean, basically admit to that loser talk, admit that this team that we're watching isn't going to be a competitive team, a contender for any kind of playoff position, let alone a championship. So at that point, especially with the number of high quality players that you have on this roster on expiring contracts, you had to make these moves. And again, we're going to continue to see more moves made. The Diamondbacks are not done. It's going to be an interesting, 18 more hours, 17 more hours from now. We're going to most likely also see Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen moved in this time frame. That, for me, is what it's going to be very interesting to see, because again, if both of those players do get moved, I don't know how the Diamondbacks fill out their roster. I have a feeling it will be Anthony Desclafani and Bryce Jarvis, but that remains to be seen. I saw a comment here. Chef Mac says, so what's next year's goal? And that's a great question. That is a great question, because this year's goal, I don't, obviously this was a failure, right? The addition of Corbin Burns, where the Diamondbacks were at the beginning of the season, how deep they were, how stacked this roster was compared to where it is now. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. And so many of these injuries, with the pile of pitching injuries that the Diamondbacks have, these injuries carry into next year, right? So there's really kind of a survival mode right now that the Diamondbacks have to figure out. They have to figure out what they're going to do this offseason, how much money they're going to spend to replenish their starting rotation, who they're going to target. And then they also have to figure out how they're going to fill whatever spots they have available, because the young pitchers in their system that normally would get an opportunity like this, they are also injured. They are also on the shelf for over a year with Tommy John surgery. And overall, it's I don't know what their goal is for next year. I think the reason that they are adding so many prospects is because at this point they're building towards next year and beyond. And when I say beyond, I don't really know what 2027 holds for Major League Baseball. For all intents and purposes, though, we have to pretend like there's going to be a season and there's not going to be a lockout. And so if that's the case, I would almost feel like 2027 is what the Diamondbacks are building towards, right? But again, that's a distant goal, and that sucks. It sucks to hear that. I do think this franchise doesn't tend to try to rebuild or go into a full rebuild mode. I don't think that's what this is, unless we see some very drastic trades being made tomorrow that I don't expect to be made. And of course, those are probably famous last words, but I don't really see the Diamondbacks trading any controllable players. However, we do hear rumors that there is interest in Jake McCarthy. There is interest in some of the Diamondbacks outfielders. So that remains to be seen as well. I mean, if the Diamondbacks start trading away controllable pieces, young players that they need, as we've seen this season, for depth, even if they're not an everyday starter, then that could signal a true rebuilding phase for this team. I just don't think that's in the cards for Mike Hazen. Interesting, though, a lot of people have been very upset with Torey Lovullo. A lot of people in this chat have wanted to come for Torey's job. And I'm not here to argue that, but I have seen it carry over to people now being upset with Mike Hazen and asking for Mike Hazen's job. And I think that's, while I can't fully defend Torey Lovullo all the time, I can say that Mike Hazen has been a tremendous GM, and I don't know where the Diamondbacks would be without him. So I wouldn't go so far as to be requesting that, based on the fact that he is making unpopular moves right now to take a player like Gino and trade him away, and to try to rebuild this roster and this pitching staff for the future, which the Diamondbacks, again, not only has it been depleted, but let's be honest, a lot of guys in the Diamondbacks organization, a lot of the young pitchers have been given an opportunity, and not many of them have really stepped up and flourished at a major league level in the way that Ryan Nelson has, for instance, this year. Or we've seen other guys, like injuries have kept held several guys back. Dre Jamison is a name that comes to mind when thinking about injuries holding those guys back. But again, the Diamondbacks need to try to continue to evolve and find young pitchers, find young prospects that they can develop and turn into their next major league bullpen and starting rotation. And they're just a team that can't really keep up with the likes of some of these other franchises when it comes to doing it financially, though I will give them credit. They have gone out, they have spent, they have added quality free agents. They've added some of the best starting pitchers on the free agent market during the offseason, and for some reason, every single time, it doesn't seem to work out. Stu in the chat says Locklear better be a whole lot better than Pavin Smith. Of course, Damon threw that one on there because that definitely helps further the anti-Pavin Smith agenda. There's more. See, I knew there was more coming. It wasn't just going to be one. There's no way. And yeah, there you go. For you, my sweet baby.
I don't know.
Do that.
Derek, my hand must have slipped. I have no idea what you're talking about. No
Somewhere
idea.
Elise is cackling. I know. Somewhere Elise is having a great time with all of this. But
I will say,
yeah.
Jacob had a good tweet earlier, a couple minutes ago, where he just mentioned how it is interesting that Mike Hazen seemingly is targeting a lot of players that could potentially help this team pretty early on. And like Locklear is going to be on this team for the rest of the season. Burgos is probably in this bullpen immediately, but if not, he's definitely in the bullpen next year. And even the other guy that we brought in, as Jacob said, he throws like 100 and already pitched in college.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, again, I don't mean to jump on the anti-Pavin bandwagon, but he's a prime example of a guy that you can't say Pavin Smith hasn't been given opportunities. You can just say that Pavin Smith has never really done anything to truly win himself a position or truly win himself more playing time. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have big moments. It doesn't mean that Pavin doesn't randomly have a 3 home run game that suddenly makes him look like one of the best hitters on the planet. But also, yeah. I mean, the Diamondbacks need to start looking for the future of their team. And right now, first base is definitely wide open. My nips hurt. Thank you. My favorite Nationals fan. Thank you for your super chat. He says, Damon, Derek, it's not too late to show some love to the Nats rebuild. They hold on to Mackenzie Gore and Suarez as a free agent in the offseason. Dirty. Yeah, no, hey, I'm going to still support your Nationals agenda on this Diamondback show. But I will also say the Diamondbacks, again, have been doing a good job of adding to their farm system with talent that might not necessarily be close. But like an Ashton Izzy, that there was a lot of very nice things said about him, and it would appear that there's a lot of high praise coming on someone like him. He's just in high A, so it's going to be a while before we get a chance to see him. However, Brandon Garcia is pitching, in Major League Baseball games right now. Same thing here with some of the additions. Jacob says we're definitely allowed to curse right now.
This fucking sucks, man.
Are you fucking kidding me? You gave me the fucking whole show and I couldn't fucking curse, and now you're gonna let me curse in the last fucking couple of minutes? That's amazing. It does fucking suck, David.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
It's
frankly.
Absolute bullshit. Yeah. All right. Oh God, that feels good. It feels like muting, but also not muting. It feels even better. Oh no, and we're offending small children. Patrick Brown's child is watching. Sorry, Ozzy. Go to bed. It's 9:44. Get to bed. You should be in bed already. But Diamondbacks again trade Eugenio Suárez, and again I hate it. I fucking hate it. There, I can say that now. But I can also say I understand it. And again, this is probably how Mike Hazen feels making this deal. He hates it. You hate the optics of it. You hate the idea of trading away one of the best players in baseball at all in any way, shape, or form. And even though Gino's batting average and on-base percentage isn't great, the fact that this man has as many home runs as he has is amazing. And again, it's making MLB history. It's the first player to ever be traded away in season with 35 or more home runs. So obviously not something that happens, but something we knew was going to happen, and now it is done. We know the return. We can start healing. I think that's the thing. That's what I was getting around to earlier. We've been waiting for this news, and now this news has happened. So at least we feel like we can move on from this current situation. And Kobe says Padres are getting close to getting Mason Miller. I'm going to die if that happens. Yeah, they can't have that happen. We really can't. We really can't. But again, it's going to be interesting to see, with all these rentals moving and all of these teams making these sacrifices to get these guys, if any of this will improve the chances of re-signing these players as free agents in the offseason. And I do think that's one thing that none of us know. We don't know if there's been a very candid, honest conversation going on behind closed doors about how players feel, maybe with agents, maybe without agents, maybe just person to person, about how they feel about coming back. And again, if the Diamondbacks don't have a good chance on re-signing these players, trading them away, especially to a team that's in some sort of race for a playoff, contention, is the smart move to make, right? And that's what we saw today from Mike Hazen. But Alan Snow says, why don't we keep everyone dumb to trade our best players? And again, the reason why is because the Diamondback season has already gone off the rails at this point, Alan, unfortunately. And with these guys having expiring contracts and a not a high likelihood of returning to Arizona, it makes sense to trade them now. But I still also remember that Mike Hazen said that his biggest regret was trading away Paul Goldschmidt. And it was a similar situation. It was at the beginning of the season, wasn't at the trade deadline, but still it was trading away a guy that was the heart of the locker room. And I think the Diamondbacks just did that by trading away Eugenio Suárez. I know there are players that have been here longer. Cattell, I know Corbin is kind of the heart, the soul of the locker room a little bit himself, but nobody was quite as much of an outspoken leader and just a goddamn great guy. Like Gino was just a great guy to be around. Inexplicably gave me hugs, and I will miss him a tremendous amount, as much as you guys will. So this sucks. I do think that the Mariners are a very easy team to root for. And if anybody wants to go watch a Mariners game and go visit Josh and Gino, what I can suggest is that when you fly into Seattle, you can actually take the train right to the stadium. They have amazing public transportation there in Seattle. And then you can get off, go there to T-Mobile and watch a baseball game. You don't even have to stay at a hotel. You could just pop back on the train, maybe get a flight later in the same day, just go back to the airport, have yourself a nice meal, and then fly back home. And that sounds like a fun weekend. I was trying to suggest that Shane and I did that while he was going on his trip to Toronto with Leah, and he was all for it, but Leah frowned upon it and she vetoed that idea. But I definitely would love to go see these guys, and I hope to see them have success wherever they go. I know it's going to hurt us, but Michael Evans asked who's next. I feel like it's probably Merrill Kelly, because Merrill Kelly's value is just too high to deny. And I didn't even mean to rhyme that line, and I kind of hate that I did. But Merrill Kelly, again, a tremendously solid pitcher that could absolutely transform a pitching staff quietly too. Again, he's not going to make the big flashy headlines when he moves, but when he does, I think he's really going to help another ball club. I really hope, if we were talking about the Diamondbacks going out there and re-signing guys, I would love for them to bring Merrill back more than Gino, just because I know Gino is going to cost a tremendous amount this offseason as a free agent. So again, I do think Merrill will be the next. And again, I would be surprised if of the guys that don't move, it's actually Zach Gallen, because Zach Gallen would be a guy that the Diamondbacks could still offer that qualifying offer to and get a compensatory pick, knowing he most likely wouldn't accept that qualifying offer. And maybe Zach Gallen does, and maybe he tries to give it another season here in Arizona. But I'll tell you, with the shortages the Diamondbacks have with their pitching staff to start 2026, they could definitely use either one of these guys to return to the team. But if you're asking me, I do think it'll be Merrill Kelly. But no matter what happens, we will definitely have you covered with another emergency podcast. 10:30 seemed like a safe time to go to bed, but now no time seems safe to go to bed. So I might just be up all night long on some energy drinks and playing some Donkey Kong Bonanza. But again, appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you so much for your time. Big shout out to Damon. I know he had to drop everything he was doing to get me on air, so I always appreciate him doing that. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. Damon is at Damon Dog with a DAWG at the end, and we are all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We appreciate you guys stopping by. We thank you so much for your time. We thank Gino so much for his service as a part of this organization. And we will be back sometime. I don't know when, maybe in an hour, maybe tomorrow morning, or maybe tomorrow at 3:30 after the trade deadline. But regardless of when I'm back, I hope to see you guys here. And until then, have a wonderful evening. Thank you again for your time. I know it's your most valuable commodity, so thank you again for sharing it with us. We will see you whenever we're back here. Appreciate you. Try to get some sleep. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's a lot more fun when Eugenio Suárez is part of your baseball team.
We all silly like the mayor.